Hello there ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Joy of Sticks. Stickhead here with your Atari ST gaming channel. Now, I've had a few packages through in the post today that I wanted to share with you. Only one of them's actually Atari ST related, but the other ones, they arise a bit of a question that I wanted to ask you, see what your opinion was. Well anyway, let's crack on first with the ST related one. Oh, blimey, used up the entire Western Hemisphere's supply of sellotape to enclose this one, but oh, that's pretty cool. Can you tell what it is yet? Now, I'm not entirely sure what possessed me to order this one, but there you go. It's kind of a purchase on a whim. Now it is nicely packaged actually, which is really cool. It's obviously packing paper around the edge, and then they wrapped it in cardboard. A bit exposed at the end, but still the cardboard stops it from getting crushed, stops the corners from getting bashed. So nicely done there. Thank you, Mr. eBay seller. So here we go. Can I slide it out? Ah. The old elbow. Ooh. No, thankfully, partly due to the lovely way it's been boxed, this is actually in really nice condition. There's always a bit of bashing on the corners, of course, absolutely mandatory, but other than that, the box is not crushed at all. The edges are nice. It's always nice to get a perfectly cuboidal box, because it just seems so rare to receive one like that in the post these days. But there you go. Yeah, so it's RBI Baseball 2. Again, not exactly sure what made me pick this up. It was incredibly cheap. It was just a total purchase on a whim. Again, meaty manual for a baseball game, and that's because they've got a load of rosters and things in there as well. Bizarre. Official player rosters. I wonder if they're accurate. I don't know enough about baseball to tell whether these are real players or not. Oh yeah, they are. There's Darryl Strawberry. I know him less for his baseball career, more for his appearance on The Simpsons, but there you go. That was a very funny episode of The Simpsons. And there's a little registration card as well in the baggie. So nice. Nice to see it well boxed up. So why did I get this then? Well, I played it briefly. Let's have a little look at the screenshots, shall we? I am actually a big fan of, not a big fan, but I do enjoy baseball video games. The one, call it the kickoff of baseball games. High praise indeed. So I do like digital baseball games, video game baseball games. Ever since really I first got my Game Boy, because I got, what was the Game Boy baseball game called? I think it was just called Baseball. I got that and I played that to death. I mean, I got my Game Boy with Baseball, and because we'd actually my mum bought it as a surprise. We were on holiday in New York, and we'd just been to see a baseball game. So when she bought me my surprise Game Boy, I was about 12 at the time. Obviously came with Tetris in the box, like every Game Boy did at the time, and she bought me the baseball game because, you know, I was really into that game. It was so much fun to go and see a real live baseball game, and it was the New York Yankees we went to go and see. So yeah, I played it for hours and hours and hours, and really enjoyed. It's a very simple take on baseball, a bit like tennis is a very simple take on tennis for the Game Boy. So, but yeah, played it for hours. I mean, if you only got that and Tetris, I know Tetris is brilliant, and I probably played that even more, but of course it's going to get lots of play. So yeah, that was great. I look forward to giving that a try, see whether it's stood the test of time, see whether it makes it into the core collection. I mean, this isn't a cert, even though it's in lovely condition. we shall wait and see. Maybe I'll do a video of it on the channel and you can help me decide whether I should put it in the core collection or not. Now, the next one is this rather hefty box here. As I say, this is not ST related, but it does pose a question that I shall be asking you all in a moment, as soon as I get it open. Now, I haven't set up my ST to my telly today, but to give you something interesting to see in the background, I just did a quick YouTube search on the Xbox 360 for Atari ST games, and this is what came up with Maniac Mansion. So I put that on, but I've only just noticed it's the German version that this guy's playing. And he's undoubtedly going to be much better at this game than I am, because I really didn't get very far. I used to get to a certain point and get chucked in, get captured and thrown in the basement, and then that's about as far as I ever got. Never got any further. So definitely a game to come back to. Ooh. Alright, now this should give you a pretty massive hint. Alright, we'll start with the less obvious piece. Aerial lead. Always handy. I don't know, can you guess from that what it is? You might be able to. As far as I'm aware, there's a couple of consoles that ships with it. Oh, it's a console. He's let the cat out the bag. Oh no, that's a giveaway. Sort of. Could be one of two. Could be one of two. Power lead. Now there can be no doubt when you see this bad boy. One of the best pads ever invented. Yeah, it's a Super Nintendo. It's one of the, I mean, I've got so many different consoles. Most of them are all in my loft. But ever since I first owned my Super Nintendo, back in the 90s, I haven't had one. And it's a gaping hole in my collection. So I went for a bit of that. And the pad it's not too bad. A bit grimy, that's to be expected, but it can be cleaned up. We can rebuild it, we have the technology. The main thing is, all the buttons feel nice. There's none of that missing, you know, nail chunks taken out of the start and select buttons that you sometimes see. No major kinks in the lead. Lead still attached nice. That looks alright, I'm quite pleased with that. It did come bundled with the dreaded dum 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 third party. I hate third party controllers. As far as third party controllers go, I mean the Competition Pro, it's not too bad. It could be worse. I mean with all the turbo nonsense. Don't spend the money on turbo, spend the money on making a decent pad. That's obviously modelled on the Mega Drive pad, so it's quite bizarre to have a SNES pad in that shape. It doesn't feel too bad. I suppose you can only really judge it once it's plugged in and you can assess the sensitivity of the buttons and how good the D-pad is for Shoryukens and Dragon Punches. Not too bad at all. Again, that's a bit grimy. That can be cleaned. Now this is nicely packed up. Lots of foam, lots of bubble wrap. Fantastic. I seem to have gone on a run recently of eBay sellers that actually have looked after their stuff quite nicely and packed it up nicely. So here it is. The Super Nintendo itself. Now, I just picked up a really cheap one with some games as well. So it's not fabulous condition. But if I do decide that, you know, it's going to be pride and place in the collection, then I might look for a better condition one. But although it's yellowed at the bottom and it's a bit grimy in places, there's no dents. The eject button doesn't show any signs of wear. So I think it's one that's been well looked after during its years. It's just been, you know, in the sun, so it's yellowed a little bit at the bottom, but nowhere near as yellowed as some of the consoles you see. So that looks alright. Quite happy about that, bearing in mind what I paid. And then, as I say, it came with some games. So let's have a look. Quite a nice selection as well, which is one of the reasons why I went for this auction rather than the scores of others that were there. Let's see. We've got Starwing. obviously known as Star Fox to everyone else on the planet except us. I have no idea why it changed its name in our country. And this is a game that I've only had a brief experience with. Back when I had my Super Nintendo when I was little, a friend of mine had some kind of competition cart. I mean, some of you might know a bit more about this than me and can inform me, but I seem to remember it only had one level, and it was about playing that level and getting the highest score. I can't remember why. It must have been some kind of competition or some kind of promotion. But yeah, it just had the first level, and I played it over and over and over and over again. So that's really nice to have. And I know that it was a British design company, but they're called Argonaut. I think that's right. Who were instrumental in designing the 3D and the Super Effects chips and things like that for the Super Nintendo. So it's always nice to have the British connection there. And that comes with a rather badly beaten up and yellowed manual. But still, it's nice to have the manual. Definitely have a read through that. Not exactly collector's condition. Now, as I said before, I was talking about the pad, whether it was good enough to do Shoryukens and Dragon Punches, and is it Dragon Punch called a Shoryuken? That's right. Yeah, Shoryuken. Hadouken is the fireball, isn't it? Oh yeah, I've got Street Fighter 2. Now, it was listed in the auction as Street Fighter 2, and what's actually come is Street Fighter 2 Turbo. So yeah, fantastic, because that's a much better version than the original. It's called World Warrior, wasn't it, the original? Street Fighter 2 World Warrior, which was brilliant, don't get me wrong. It was one of the reasons I owned a Super Nintendo in the first place, to play that, because after playing it in the arcade, it was a must, really, to get that in the house. But yeah, Street Fighter 2 Turbo, much better. You can up the speed, more characters to play as, more moves, maybe? I don't know. More costumes for the characters. Well, not really costumes, but changing the palettes and things, I seem to remember. So, brilliant. And then we had a couple of boxed games as well. Now, predictably, because it's the Super Nintendo and the boxes are cardboard, they're not in great condition. So, lots of rips, but never mind, and a bit squished. But here we go. Earthworm Jim 2. Played Earthworm Jim, the first one, on the Mega Drive. I have no idea what this is like. It looks to me like more of the same. I had a quick look at a YouTube video. It just looks like Earthworm Jim 1, but a bit more Earthworm Jim. And that comes with the manual. It's actually in better condition than the other two, but still quite yellowed. Cartridge, nice condition. There we go. And the good old safety information, or whatever it is. So yeah, looking forward to playing that, because the first one was so good. And Shiny Entertainment, absolutely brilliant. I would play anything that they made. I don't know if any of you ever played MDK. I think it was on PlayStation, maybe Saturn. I played it on PC. But that's an absolute cracker of a game, that. So yeah. Love a bit of Shiny. I can't close that. I'm fiddling about with it off camera. Leave it alone. Move on. And last, but by no means least, Super Aleste. And this one's actually in much better condition. Bit discoloured, bit dusty, a little bit bashed, but not too bad. Super Aleste, for those of you who don't know, is a shoot 'em up, 2D. What's that called? Vertical. But brain failed me for a little bit. Let's have a look in here then. We've got a Club Nintendo application. Obviously I'll be sending that off later. The cartridge, nice condition. That's the thing about the box copies. I mean, you know that the boxes are going to be naff and bashed up, but at least you know the cartridge is probably going to be in good condition and has been hidden from the sun. And the manual's actually quite nice, in nice condition for that. A very boring front cover for the manual, but functional. Super Aleste, it looks really familiar, but I think that's because I've played its prequel. I think I've played something on the Master System that's very, very similar. So whether that was called Aleste or something else, I don't know. But that was really good, actually. Is it a Master System or was it on the... I don't know. I've played a very similar game, but it was on an 8-bit. Wow, that's really vague information for you there, sorry. But anyway, I'm really looking forward to playing that. Looks like it's got quite a novel power-up system. One of those nice, typical 16-bit shooters. Looks like it wouldn't be out of place on PC Engine, by the looks of it. Kind of like a Blazing Star or one of those. Fantastic, so there you go, that was the big box with the Super Nintendo and the games in. And I also ordered a couple of extra things. Now, in here is the... Did I just show you my address? Might have done. I'll have to blur that out later. In here is the main reason why I wanted to get a Super Nintendo. And this is... Now, sometimes I talk about piles of shame when it comes to consoles, because we always... and computers, we always buy games quicker than we can actually play and complete. So, you know, my pile of shame is building quite high. Games that I've bought but never actually completed, some of which I've never actually played, some of which are so good that I'm actually quite ashamed that I haven't played them yet. But this one is a game that I've actually never owned myself, and it just doesn't feel right that I've never... I have obviously played it, but I've never completed it. So really, it's always been my dream to own it and complete it. This is well packaged. This is nice to see. It's a cartridge only copy, but somebody's wrapped it in cardboard just to keep that extra bit of protection. And then obviously it was in the jiffy as well, so that was cool. And it is Super Mario World. Yeah, I mean, it is one of my favourite games ever. I've played it quite a lot because we had it where I used to work. I work with children, and I used to work in an after-school club. And one of the activities that we used to put on for them was video games, you know. And we had a Super Nintendo, amongst other things, Nintendo 64. A bit later on we had a PlayStation 2 and an Xbox. But actually the Nintendo 64 was always more popular, even when we got the newer things in. Mainly because of the 4-player games like GoldenEye and Mario Kart and Diddy Kong Racing were so popular. But anyway, I digress. We had this, so I have played it a lot, but mostly just the first couple of islands. Because we'd never really get that far, because obviously working with children, we're not really going to encourage them to sit down and play a game for hours and hours and hours and hours. But yeah, it is an incredible game. So good, so good. One of my favourite games ever, and I've never seen the later stages of it, so I'm really going to look forward to playing that a lot. And one more thing, just a little one, related again to the Super Nintendo, and this is a SCART RGB cable for my Super Nintendo, so that I can plug it into the LCD telly and hopefully get a really good picture. Hopefully, he says, with fingers crossed, because you never really know, do you, with old consoles, how it's going to work. My ST works okay with this telly. When I plug it in with SCART, I can choose between... One SCART socket shows me the composite picture, which is very stable, but obviously it's composite, so it's really fuzzy. The other SCART socket shows me the RGB signal, which is crystal clear and lovely, but every 10 seconds or so just kind of flickers really annoyingly. So hopefully, I know the Atari ST's got a notoriously funky output signal, so hopefully the Super Nintendo is a little bit more standard, and I get that really crystal clear image, but without the flicker. So yeah, wish me luck. We shall see. Which brings me to my question, actually, something you can really help me with, because I'm really stuck on the fence as far as this is concerned. Obviously, I started this channel and I've run it as just an Atari ST channel, but I found that because I don't have very much time for gaming, that I'm obviously not just going to limit to the Atari ST, even though it's my absolute favourite. I find that I don't, I'm not just going to play Atari ST games. I've actually built myself a PC recently, so I'm playing a lot of PC games. And I keep thinking, because it's really easy on PC to get the software to just capture the video, and then I could upload that to YouTube with my commentary on and share that. So I'm really caught in two minds, really. I set up this YouTube channel, and I get a lot of feedback from people saying you don't see much ST stuff, so it's nice, and things like that. But I'd like to share with you other games that I'm playing. So I don't know what to do, really. I don't know whether to keep it focused on the Atari ST stuff and fill that niche, or speaking of Minecraft, we seem to have switched videos. Let's just go back to that one for a bit, shall we? I better provide you a link to this guy, seeing as I've blatantly ripped off his video for this one. It's only fair. What was I saying? Yeah, what was I saying? So yeah, do I keep focused, fill that niche, keep to the Atari ST stuff, Atari ST only, or do I sneak in the occasional other game that I'm playing? For instance, I've just started playing Wizorb on the PC, which is a cracking indie game that mixes like Japanese role-playing games with the Arkanoid Breakout block breaking style gameplay. Do you want to see me playing stuff like that and putting commentary on, or do you just want to see me sticking to the Atari ST? As far as the Super Nintendo is concerned, I have a DVD recorder, so I can hook it up through that and quite easily record some footage on that, transfer that to the PC and upload that, so you could see me playing on the my new Super Nintendo. As I say, I'm just really not sure whether to keep things as I intended, just an Atari ST channel, or just as these are the games that I'm playing type channel. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below. Your thoughts will be most helpful in deciding what I do in the future. Thanks for watching, thanks for sharing those packages with me. I'm going to have loads of fun with these. I'm actually going to set the Super Nintendo up right now to see how it works and see what that SCART cable does to my LCD telly. Thanks for watching. Take care.